Let me tell you how it really went down because I've lived every second of it. And trust me, some days still feel like they happened yesterday. Picture this. 6 months after the car accident that flipped my life inside out, I rolled my wheelchair down the polished, two shiny halls of Cedar Ridge High, the new black girl in a mostly white school, trying to blend in while sticking out in every way possible. Now, I'd braced for stares, whispers, the curious side eye that always follows a wheelchair into a place where everyone stands tall. What I hadn't prepared for was the cruelty that came right at me. No hesitation, no mercy. First week, these boys Dylan Reeves and his crew corner me out in the parking lot. They yanked me right out of my chair and left me sprawled on the asphalt, helpless, while they rode circles on my wheels, laughing like they owned the world. To them, I was invisible except when I was entertainment. But here's what they didn't know. Before the accident, before the steel in my spine and the endless hospital days, I was my dad's martial arts prodigy. He taught me to read danger before it arrived and to remember, you don't win by brute force. You win by outlasting, outsmarting, and if you need Toby, fighting smarter than they'll ever expect. You know what I mean? Rolling through those hallways, I tried to keep my head down, murmuring, "Excuse me, sorry," to kids too caught up in their own drama to notice me, catching snatches of gossip that always seemed to orbit my name. "That's her, the new girl in the wheelchair," they'd say, not bothering to keep it quiet. The athletes strutted, the theater kids clustered, the honors students buried themselves in books like armor. I was none of those things anymore, just a story they could invent rumors about. Sometimes I'd hear, "I bet she gets special treatment," or "probably just milking it for attention." Those words landed harder than they should have, but you learn to swallow your pride when it's all you've got left. My only real friend was Zoe Martinez, California transplant, fierce, loyal, and just as much an outsider as I was. We bonded quick, always eating lunch together, always scanning for the safest tables, closest ramps, bathrooms that weren't technically accessible but actually worked. She'd rage for me, calling out the school's failures like how the only real accessible bathroom was 2 floors away from any of my classes, but I told her not to waste the energy. You pick your battles. Dylan's group didn't quit. They'd make loud comments about disability perks, block the ramps just long enough to make me feel small, drop accidental insults in the cafeteria, and every time they played it off like a joke. If I ever complained, it was just boys being boys. Nobody wanted to believe how calculated it really was. I kept my head up, but I was grinding myself down. Physical therapy at home got more intense. My mom, Nia, turned our garage into a PT gym, and my dad, Marcus, watched every move, pushing me, reminding me what strength was supposed to feel like. But I was pushing for something more. I wanted to stand again, even just for a few minutes at a time. My parents sensed it. "Is something happening at school?" my dad would ask, reading every flicker in my face. "Just the usual," I'd say. "Some things you keep to yourself." Then came the breaking point, to Gray Tuesday, late after school. Zoe and I headed to her car, but Dylan, Tyler, and Connor were waiting. Dylan started in, mocking, "Let's see the daily gymnastics show," grabbing my chair, spinning circles like it was his personal ride. Zoe tried to shield me, but Tyler blocked her. Kids watched, phones out, laughing, filming, doing nothing. I was helpless, sitting in the passenger seat while Dylan and his friends raced my chair around the parking lot. When they finally finished, they left the chair 20 feet away, daring me to come get it. Zoe was furious. "We're reporting this," she said, but I knew without proof, without adults, it would be written off. Just kids having fun. That night, I stared at the ceiling, rage and humiliation coiling tighter with every replay in my head. My dad's words echoed. "Some fights are yours to fight. Some, you fight smart." Maybe it was time to do both. The next day, I sat across from Vice Principal Johnson. He barely looked up from his desk. Sounds like typical teenage behavior. Just got a little out of hand. When I pressed, he shrugged. Taking a wheelchair for a few minutes hardly constitutes harassment. I stared at him, barely believing it. If I'd worn glasses, would it be different? If I'd been a normal kid? He wouldn't answer. So I changed my strategy. I trained harder, pushed my body past every limit my mother set, practiced standing, holding my own weight, regaining control. The boys got bolder, new games, new humiliations. But I was waiting. 3 days after a particularly nasty run-in, a mess. Rodriguez, me English teacher, sharp as a tack, called me aside. "This isn't normal," she said, voice low. "I see what they're doing." I almost cried, hearing an adult finally notice. She offered to file a complaint to bear witness, but I warned her, it'll just make it worse. The system doesn't want to see it, but she did it anyway. It wasn't long before everything exploded. That Thursday after debate club, Zoe and I found ourselves ambushed in the parking lot. Dylan, Tyler, and Connor, no crowd, no pretense. "Get out of the chair," Dylan said, ice cold. I told him no. He didn't like that. They grabbed me, yanked me out, tossed me on the ground. Dylan took my chair again, spinning, laughing, taunting. Zoe screamed, tried to intervene, but Tyler held her back, filming the whole thing for their twisted entertainment. But as I lay there, tasting blood, pain shooting through my hip, something inside me snapped not into pieces but together. Rage steadied me. Months of training kicked in. I pushed myself up, slow but sure, and God, the look on their faces I stood. Not perfectly, not without effort, but enough. Tyler's laughter died. "She's been faking it." Dylan shouted, panic cracking his voice. "I haven't been faking anything," I said. "I've been recovering. Now, give me my chair." He shoved it away, dare me to do something. They circled me, trying to scare me back down. But I'd waited for this. I remembered every lesson how to use their size, their anger, against them. Tyler lunged. I pivoted, ate asphalt. Connor hesitated. Dylan charged, swinging wild. I ducked, drove my palm up, not enough to break, just enough to make it back off. Years of training, months of rage, all focused into each move, control, precision, no wasted energy. Zoe filmed everything, her hands steady now, knowing this was bigger than just us. Dylan, blood on his nose, jacket torn, realized he'd lost more than a fight, had lost his power. That's when MS. Rodriguez appeared, demanded answers, took us all to the office. Johnson tried to sweep it away. No harm done, just a misunderstanding. Rodriguez insisted, played the video, called the principal. Parents came, arguments erupted. But the truth was on tape. Now no more hiding, no more denials. The principal, furious, suspended the boys, fired Johnson, and promised real change. The video went viral. The news picked up the story, and suddenly, the whole school, the whole country was talking about disability rights, bullying, justice. 3 weeks later, I walked Cedar Ridge's halls with my head high. I used my chair when I wanted to, not because I had to. Kids who'd never looked at me before smiled, nodded, some even apologized. MS. Rodriguez got promoted. The school rewrote its policies. And me? I got letters from all over, kids saying my story gave them courage, parents thanking me for standing up. My family stood by me, prouder than ever. Colleges called, offering spots on adaptive sports teams, even scholarships. Zoe, my anchor, was right there every step. And I realized, maybe for the first time, that surviving isn't enough. You have to take back your story, use it to change the world around you. So yeah, the accident changed me. The bullying almost broke me. But in the end, I didn't just survive, I won. And if you're out there listening, wondering if you can do the same, let me tell you, you can. You have to. The fight for dignity is never easy, but it's always worth it. So tell me, where do you stand? What would you have done? I want to hear your take, because this isn't just my story, it's everyone's. Drop your thoughts below, and let's talk about what real justice should look like.